Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to talk about what Hurricane Eta and other hurricanes and tropical storms teach us. It's Diane here at Together on the Porch. It's raining because a hurricane is on the way. It's off the coast of Florida, but we're still going to get a lot of it. The weather here today is the beginnings of tropical weather, and it's November. Nice, huh? Anyway, so hurricanes, and I will just use Hurricane Eta as the example because she's coming to visit us. They teach us a lot of things. I've sailed in tropical storms. I've delivered boats ahead of storms, and been in storms equally as severe as at least a little hurricane. So I understand them in a way that like a lot of people don't, because from the time I was very young, I was trained and taught how to read weather, what to do, how to know what the birds and animals will do, to be able to tell what's going to happen far before like electronics or other things were even really around that much. Yes, I'm that old. So the storm Eta is on the way. Now she strengthened over the night, and here's one of the things that all of them teach us. That is, our strength and our power build in the dark. Every storm, all hurricanes, strengthen at night. Well, isn't that true about us? That we strengthen in the dark nights of our soul. We strengthen in the winter seasons of our lives, because when there's darkness, that's when we can go within and grow and change and evolve and strengthen ourselves. So every hurricane strengthens at night. So when and a lot of friends who don't really know that will start talking to me about, well, it's this or it's that, and it's in the evening. I said, well, let's see what it is in the morning, because it's going to strengthen at night. They strengthen in the night, which is what happened. The storm not only strengthened, but it turned a little bit more toward us, which so many people were surprised. The other rule is, until it passes your latitude, till it's north of you, you don't rest. You don't ignore it anyway, because it can always turn toward you. Now this storm, Eta, also taught us something. When it was heading southwest, after it went by Key West, and it went southwest, that is a different type of pattern. In fact, the whole pattern and trajectory, starting with turning into a hurricane and becoming Category 4 and just nailing Honduras and Guatemala and coming up and over Cuba and over things. If you look at the whole path of it, nothing really about that part has been typical of other tropical systems. So it's starting to show us that things we all know about climate change and differences in the world, and things are happening, that this storm is giving us an example of that in lots of different facets. So I'm sitting out here on my porch, and a few people have messaged me over the last couple of days going, are you still going to do your porch talk? You know, what if the hurricane comes, you still do your porch talk? To which I laugh, unless it's unsafe. The answer is yes. If I have to, I'll be inside. But I have better clothing and gear for foul weather on the water than I do for land. So if it's really wet out here, then I'll put on my foul weather gear. It's not that big of a deal. It matters that we stay safe when we're driving. It matters that we pay attention to our welfare. But as my mom always said, none of us is so sweet a little rain will melt us. So we get a little wet. So today, that's what I was thinking about. I got Maggie out in time before it really started raining here, because as I was getting ready to take her out, I was looking at the radar and I'm like, oh, it's already raining in Sarasota. And it's, I'm watching the rain march up the coast, and I'm like, well, I better get her out, otherwise we're going to be getting wet. So right as we were coming back from our walk, I mean like literally seconds before we got under the roof, the sprinkle started, and it just started sprinkling. We wouldn't have gotten soaked like other times where I got completely drenched. So, but she looked at me and she's like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm like, well, you can stay out in the rain, but I know you don't like it. So the tropical systems teach us that there is power in all of nature. that us humans need to respect, right? It teaches us that we grow in the dark spots, and it teaches us that the tighter we are and the more wound up, might we say, we are, the more dangerous we are. And so when you allow your emotions and you allow your world to get so tight and so anxious and so upset and so fearful that it wraps around that tight core of your inner being, you become like a category 4 or 5 hurricane. You destroy your life, you destroy things around you, and you become a destruction animal. That's why it's so important to meditate, and that's why it's so important to unwrap that inner core. And a lot of people, when they start their personal development journey, are wrapped much tighter than they realize. Because for many people, it's kind of like if you took something and you just lightly twisted it a little bit here and there. You don't really realize the damage or the twisting or the impact until it's really tight, right? So when you start the work, you realize that you might be wound so tight that it almost feels like if I let the spring go, it's going to go woo and make us all crazy, right? It's not how it happens, but it feels like that. So if you're wound tight, you're like a category 4 hurricane or category 5 hurricane. You're destroying everything in your path, including your own self, because what happens with those storms? They eventually rain themselves out. They eventually dissipate. So it's much more profitable as a human being to live in a place of calm and serenity, like I was talking about yesterday, kind of like be the scud clouds, be the clouds that are flying on through. You don't have to be the storm. You don't have to be wound so tight that you're causing damage to yourself, the environment, and whatever else. That's not necessary. And so many people do that, you know? They're so wound tight, they're causing damage. So today I made some kind of light roast coffee, and mostly I'm holding it because even though it's warm, to me this kind of tropical feel is a little chilly. So I know this feeling well from racing boats out in the Gulf and being at sea at night. And it goes, oh, it's going to be in the low 80s or high 70s. That's warm. Well, yes and no. When you're in the middle of rain or moisture, it doesn't even have to be rain, and you're out to sea, it's chilly. We wear full foul weather gear at night most of the time because it may not be cold, but it's chilly. It's kind of a weird experience. And so it means we got to protect ourselves and take care of ourselves. Be part of the situation. Be part of the beauty of nature versus trying to fight it or resist it. This is where proper planning prevents poor performance all over the place. All over the place. So I'm really excited because today, after I do this live with you guys on the porch, I'm going to go do my cryotherapy session. I had a really fun lunch thing planned at an outside place that got moved. I'm not going to go, we're not going to be doing that, which is sad to me, but it's also, I was hopeful yesterday that if the storm stayed west more and went straight north, that we would be spared a little of this, but that's not what she had in mind. She had in mind to come visit us, but of course she wants to come visit us. This area of Florida is beautiful, right? And we can handle a 2 to 4 foot storm surge. Really, it's not like the end of the world, but it teaches us a lot of lessons, like trimming our trees and taking good care of things and being a good steward and not having things out in our yard that can become projectiles in general, right? And so it reminds us that when we properly plan and when we pay attention to our environment, then whatever nature wants to do is totally cool. It's totally cool. I intend on hanging out here on my porch and hanging out with the storm tonight. Yeah, I know it's going to be really fun because I love weather and I love what it teaches us, and I know there could be pop-up tornadoes, so you have to stay safe. I know that a pop-up tornado in a hurricane reminds me of this. And you all probably know this. When we're going through life and we're maybe working on ourselves or we're trying to heal some grief or we're trying to do whatever, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, or seemingly out of nowhere, comes like, woo, something that disrupts the things, like a a problem gets dumped on top of everything, you know, like I'm working on my stuff and then my car breaks down, or I'm working on my stuff and then this person says something mean, you know, all those things. That's kind of like a pop-up tornado in a hurricane, because we're already having an event, they call them now, a tropical event, right? It's either a wind event or a water event or both. That's the word they use, event, because, you know, that's the word. So we're already having one event, and it's a big event. It's a big storm. I mean, as far as space-wise, I think the tropical storm winds this morning were coming out from the eye over 100 miles. That's like across it's 200 miles roughly. So that's like a lot. That's, you know, it's not the biggest one ever, not by a long shot, but it's got size. So we can be in the middle of something like this that has a lot of size, and then something else can pop up. Get a phone call that something's not going right, or this problem happens over here, or whatever it is. Power goes out, you know? All those things can happen. So are we ready? Are we paying attention? That's where playing heads up ball pays off. Because if you're paying attention and you pay attention to the weather and you listen and you watch, you'll be able to navigate and keep yourself protected and safe much easier than the people who are lollygagging around or not paying attention, or putting themselves in harm's way by playing in a situation that doesn't call for playing, calls for respect. Mother Nature and the power of all these storms calls for us to be respectful and understand our place in it all. So we learn a lot from tropical storms, and we learn a lot from the way they operate, and we learn a lot about how to do it. I think it's a very exciting experience to be in a tropical storm and a hurricane. I've done it in a boat out at sea. I've done it in a boat moving it when the storm was coming a few years ago. Was when Charlie came through that year, when all those storms came, one of the later storms, and we finished a race in Tampa Bay and had to bring the boat home all the way up to Clearwater, and the Department of Transportation had already taken down the cross arms to stop traffic to let us through the bridges, so they weren't going to let us through. So now we were stuck out with only so much gas in the boat, because we're a racing sailboat, so we didn't bring a lot of gas because we didn't need it, or we didn't think we needed it. And then they wouldn't open the bridge, and so we had to wait for Department of Transportation people to come. Now that's an adrenaline rush, right? The hurricane barreling down, a big hurricane barreling down, much bigger than this. This is just this is like a long squall line for us. And you're on a 29-foot sailboat. Yeah. And that was interesting. But we made it fine. I actually called one of my assistants who brought me some gas in his power boat, where that was kind of fun. But we take care of it, right? We learn how to survive it. We learn how to go with it. Storms teach us how to go with the flow, how to understand that we build in the darkness. We become strong in the darkness. That's when we build. We don't build in the light. That's goofy. That's not how it works. And so we can sit back and we can enjoy the beauty of tropical moisture, the beauty of tropical weather, understanding that ETA and all hurricanes and all tropical systems teach us magnificent things about our own personal development, about the universe, about nature herself. It's a beautiful experience because, as we all know, the trees will be trimmed. That's good. They need to be. Things need to be washed and cleaned, and Mother Earth needs some rain so much. I mean, the lakes around here have been down like 6 or 8 feet. We need a lot of rain. So thank you for the rain. Thank you for the nice, cool breeze. Thank you for the fact that the cleansing of the Gulf water and the cooling of the water. The fish are so happy. They dive deep. They go down where it's dark, so the storm goes over. There is a lot of metaphor and analogy with being able to fully embrace the awe, the power, the reverence, the respect that any tropical system deserves. And we also have a lot of gratitude because she's way out to sea. We're getting just the fringes of it. It's not a big deal. So it's going to get windy. Great. What does wind teach you? The power of God, right? Wind is just like God. You can't see God, but boy, you can see the effect of it. You can use all of this for your benefit. So that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna go to get some cryotherapy today, this morning, first thing, and then I'm going to do some other beautiful, wonderful, loving, going within activities. And then because I'm not doing my lunch at the yacht club today for obvious reasons, I have an opening now in my schedule that allows me to just fully experience and embrace the beauty, the awe, the power of our Mother Nature and our earth. And I get to see how she's reflecting back to me my own beauty and power and awe. So I'm really excited. So later on today, when it starts getting more dicey, I guess, I will be sending lots of prayers to, like at our yacht club, we have an opening to the south, and that's not going to be real good for the boats on ADOC. So I'll be sending lots of energy to them. And there's lots of situations that can cause damage. But the way I look at it is this, is anything that gets damaged didn't need to be there anyway, including boats and stuff like that. Like sometimes the cleansing doesn't feel really good, but it's needed. And just because it doesn't feel good doesn't mean it's not needed. And I believe that the wisdom of the universe knows better than us humans for the big picture. For the big picture. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm thinking about this morning. It was fun being in the beginning of the rain. I'm gonna have fun driving up to the cryo thing because I love this kind of weather. I think it's absolutely stunning. And I'm sad I don't get to go on my bike ride today. I mean, I could go, but I'm not going to in the rain. That I'm not happy about. I'm sad I'm missing my lunch thing because I was gonna take Victoria Rose out to the yacht club for lunch today for her birthday, because her birthday is the same day as mine. And we were gonna have a birthday celebration today at Davis Island Yacht Club out on the deck. Well, that is not going to be the best move, so we moved it, and I'm sad that I don't get to do that with her today, but we have a better time. So she's amazing because she goes, it's all right, we're gonna have a delicious time later. We have something to look forward to. That's the attitude that is a genius, and that's why she's my most trusted person in my business, really, because she gets it. So that's what we're doing today. We're celebrating all of the lessons. We're opening our heart and opening our mind to all of the lessons and the beauty of living in the subtropics, because we have a different experience than those people who are dealing with snow right now, and the people who are dealing with fires, and the people who are dealing with drought. We have a whole different experience living in the subtropics. We get to be open to an amazing power and learn how not to wind ourselves so tightly that we become a Category 4 hurricane ourselves, just wreaking havoc and damage everywhere we go. So what category storm are you? Tropical depression, tropical storm, hurricane, level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, where are you? And however tight you are, wound around yourself in there, that's the category. And so we want to be none of those, right? We want to be beautiful clouds floating by, like I talked about the other day. And in order to do that, we have to do our own healing work and our own inner development so that we can be those clouds and we're not so wound so tightly that we cause destruction everywhere. So allow this experience when you're in Florida, if you're in Florida here with me, to grow you and teach you and show you and mirror back to you the beauty and grace and power and authenticity that you too can have, because this storm doesn't care what anyone thinks about it. She's just creating her own path. I mean, they never go southwest and whip around and make S's and go over here and go over there, and that doesn't happen normally. So she's bringing us a great lesson. So let's learn it. Let's embrace the fact that we get to experience something magical and powerful that reminds us that when we are in our flow, we don't cause destruction along the way. And when we tighten up and we wind ourselves up and we're not in our flow and we're not doing our development and healing work, we become a strong Category 3, 4, or 5 hurricane, causing destruction in our path and leaving a wake of misery. So we are the ones responsible for unwinding ourselves. That means we shed the light of truth on the darkness, because intensity grows in the darkness. The storms grow in the dark. The problems grow in the dark. If you don't want to keep causing problems in your life, you've got to shed the light of truth on it. Same thing with a hurricane. They grow in the dark. So, there you have it. I could go on about them too, like the warm water and mountains and I don't know, all those different things and what it does for the water and the wildlife. But really what I'm thinking about today more is that storms grow in the dark, because that's what she did last night. And humans, problems, intensity of pain grows in the dark. So if we're not willing to shine the light of truth on our own inner world, and we're not willing to be real and honest, we will continue to be a category 3 or 4 hurricane, because we'll be wound so tightly inside that we'll just be like the Tasmanian devil, just destroying everything in our wake. And that's not the goal. The goal of us humans is to be more like the cumulus clouds, bright and happy and light and joyful, shedding shade here and there and moving through the sky. That's what we're meant to be. And so when we keep growing in the dark and tightening up and tightening up and tightening up, and fear, pain, turning us into a hurricane that's causing damage and destruction, only we can shed the light of truth and dissipate the storm. So what are you going to do? All the storms of your life grow in the dark. That's the rules. So I'm going to enjoy the storm, and I may even do a live out here later when it's coming through more, because I have great respect for them, and I think when you stay in a place where you can kind of surf with them and you just flow with what nature is doing, you end up with a better life. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to call some people who are supposed to rendezvous with me at different times later on today and tomorrow to see what's really going to happen. Got to look at changing some plans. But that's a minor inconvenience to the powerful inner lessons and the powerful inner growth that this storm and others, but especially this one, because she's here visiting us right now, can really bring to light and help us transform and ascend beyond whatever low life stuff is going on. So that's what I'm going to do. I hope you join me in it. So today, enjoy your beverage, enjoy your life. Take a deep breath and go, yes, thank you. Thank you for the lessons. Thank you for the rich, nourishing rain that Mother Earth really, really needs so desperately. Thank you for all that you bring to us, Hurricane Eta, and all of them, all of the storms of our life grow in the dark, and they all help us see how to ride the tides and seasons of nature much more effectively. When we resist it, that's when we get in trouble. So, from my heart to your heart, enjoy this day. Enjoy the magnificence and power of the wisdom of the universe all around us. And I will see you tomorrow morning on my porch. Foul weather gear or not, whatever I need, I will be here, because that's what we're doing. I will see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock. From my heart to your heart. All of you, my porch friends, I love you, I appreciate you, I thank God for you every day, and enjoy this time of cleansing. I'll see you tomorrow.